What is up, guys? So today we're gonna install some oil lines and change out the oil on the Chevy truck. And the reason for it is because somewhere along the oil lines in this area I'm getting a leak, so I'm thinking it's dripping from this part here and working its way down to where the oil filter will be. So there's an oil filter canister housing that these plug into, and it's leaking on one of these lines. It's actually the top line. So these look the same, but they're slightly different. So one's a little bit longer than the other. The bends are pretty close to the same, and up here it's bent a little differently here. So when it attaches to the oil cooler on the radiator side of it, it could bend through and be routed properly. So here's the part numbers for them if you're interested in replacing them. And then we're going to change out the transmission seal for the shifter linkage. So this goes directly on the transmission side, so there's a shifter linkage that goes across. If the transmission's going this way, it's on this side, it's on the driver's side, and it plugs into the driver's side of it. And what that does is, as you put it in gear on an automatic, it rotates the gearing in the transmission, and there's a rod that this rests on. So this goes in the transmission, a rod sticks out, and there's a whole linkage that connects from the transmission all the way up to your steering column. And this is leaking, so I got a puddle underneath the vehicle. It's not leaking bad, but might as well replace it since everything else is getting replaced. And that's the part number to that one. So I decided to fix all this stuff since I did the front end, and figured I might as well get all these leaks to stop as well since we're rebuilding the whole thing. So let's get to it and see what happens. So one thing I noticed is this goes up to the radiator end of it, these two, and then they come with these little ends right here, and these attach to this, I believe, that go into your oil container housing. But this end here goes into your radiator there and there. As you can see, these are a little bit longer, the metal portion. So I don't know if these are universal or if they're those are the wrong ones or these are the wrong ones, but we'll see and see how it goes. So you take them off right there, and then you're gonna take them off underneath the vehicle, and those should come out. So make sure you have something to catch some of the liquid that falls out of here. This has an oil cooler that's integrated into here, so it pumps through. And then you have the AC unit up front. So to take this nut off, you want to make sure whatever you do on the radiator, you back it up with another wrench before cracking these loose, so that way you don't twist it out of your plastic housing. Some of them are metal, but this one's plastic. It's an AutoZone or Kragen radiator, so keep that in mind. And so first of all, a 19 millimeter will not fit there, so I think it's like a 20 or something to take off this nut right here. And so you would probably need a 20 line wrench, but I don't have one of those, so I might make do with the crescent wrench on both ends if I don't have nothing to take it off. It's just one of those specialty items. But anytime you're dealing with the lines, back it up and also use a line wrench on the end that you're going to take off. So this end, use a line wrench for that stuff, so that way you don't strip out the nut itself. So since we don't have it, let's improvise, use a crescent. So before you start dealing with the oil lines and stuff, Make sure you drain the fluid, your oil, because it's going to leak out anyway. So might as well start draining it. And if you need to look at how to drain it, I'll link my other video below on how to drain the oil on the Chevy truck. It's pretty simple, but do that so that way there's not a lot of oil in the lines when you take them off. So up there you got your 2 lines. That's where your oil filter would be hanging from. I think it's a 1-inch line. The actual nut on the line is about a 1-inch. So I mean, you could convert that to metric probably, but there's an issue. The bottom one and the top one are really close together, so the way it has to come off is the top one needs to come off first and then the bottom one. I'm gonna use this 8-inch crescent wrench to take it off, starting with the top one, because the handle is shorter than a 1-inch wrench, and you have limited space up there. A 1-inch wrench cannot fit in there. I'm gonna attempt to try to use I think this one's a 10-inch, so I'm gonna attempt to use a 10-inch adjustable wrench as well, but I know the 8-inch for sure will fit, and that's what we're gonna try to use. It's a really tight fit, so you have to do it in the proper order or else you will not be able to get the nuts off. So start with the top one and then the bottom one, and then reverse the order to put it back in. So good luck with that one. So there's a 13 millimeter nut up there that keeps these 2 lines together, and you got to loosen that after in order to take it off, because that one bolt goes straight through the center and it sandwiches them together, so that way you don't have them rattling and touch the motor here that's spinning. Be careful when taking off that top one, because as soon as I broke it loose, I fucked my knuckle up. So on the metal, when you're pushing up to loosen it up, yeah, it's a knuckle buster, so be careful there. And the 8-inch works. The 10-inch is a little too long, so use the 8-inch on it. So remember, on these lines here, the top one up here goes to the bottom of the radiator, and the bottom one here goes to the top of the radiator, so they're supposed to be reversed when you put them back in. So make sure that they're opposite to the radiator. So top radiator, bottom oil filter, bottom radiator, top of the oil filter. Okay, so what you need to do is use a flat blade screwdriver, and from there there's gonna be these little plastic tabs. So as you can see, it's like a little plastic tab, and then there's like little fingers right in here. Those fingers need to be pushed in. So as you can see, the little fingers. So this is slid on. You put this in there, push it in, do the same to the other side, and slide this off, and this whole thing will pop off, because you got to reuse this on your next ones. So that's what the tabs look like. So this is what the actual tab looks like, the new one. Oh, the valleys and the peaks. As you can see, there's these little tabs that click in there. So if you have the proper tool, you could have left these assembled inside your housing, and then these would just pop right out of your connectors here. But I didn't have the tool, so I had to take off the whole thing with the crescent wrench. So instead of just reusing your old ones, because there's a seal in there, an orange thing in there, you could buy this part number here and just replace them. They're like $8 each. Okay, so you want to screw these onto the housing first, and then connect these onto your piping, and then you just slide them in there. When you're done, just pop them in, and it already pre-connects, So these are like quick disconnects, and then you don't have to worry about the line getting in the way as you put these in. So this brass insert here was originally in the radiator to accommodate a smaller thread, and the new ones actually don't need that, so you could take them off. So these brass inserts come off, one right there, one right there, and then you could thread it in directly. Make sure you put on some Teflon tape or something, just to make to reassure yourself that there's going to be no leaks. Yeah, so take these off if yours doesn't thread it into there. These are just a little bushing, so that way one radiator could accommodate multiple line sizes. So we're going to put in the seal for the tranny, and basically what you have is, this is the oil filter, this is the driver's side, there's a linkage that comes off the steering column up there, come down across into the transmission. This has a spring that connects directly to your frame, so this whole thing can pivot back and forth this way for some leeway. And then you have this right here that's leaking, so there's a shaft that this nut is on, and it's leaking down the shaft onto the threads, and then from there it drips down and gets all this wet. So to take it off, you need another 15 to get this off, and this should slide out of the way. Now to get the seal off, that may be a little bit different story, and we'll see what happens. The nut and the washer that came off, on the washer end of it, it has a square notch cut out, or where this washer goes. So this is a square cut on it. It doesn't matter, it's still round in the center, but where it does matter is up here. This shaft right here is not splined. It has a flat edge on it on both sides, and the same thing with this bracket. So to get this bracket off, I just pushed it to this side, and this whole thing came out. But when you go and loosen up the nut, the first thing that wants to happen is, this is like really sensitive, so it starts to kick your gear shifter out of park and into the next gear. So be careful about that. So what I did was I held it here and then broke it loose at the same time, so that way it wouldn't pivot on me. But it's really sensitive, so have something to hold it. And remember the direction this is supposed to be in relation to this, so you can put it back together. If you'd like, make a mark here and then make a mark on this side, so that way you can line up the two marks if you think you're gonna get confused. Okay, so I use this to tap in a little hole in the side. I broke a punch off in there. Now I have this screw that's threaded into the hole like this. And then I'm going to take some pliers, some needle nose to be exact, and pry back on it and see if that comes off. Alright dude, so I got it out. This is the seal. I banged a few holes in it, and what I needed was one of these to pry it out. So it was a bitch. So if you have this issue, yeah, either lift your car way up in the air or take it to the transmission shop, because laying down with maybe 3 inches or 4 inches of lift is a pain in the ass to get under here. So, and you want to tilt it to you want to lift the driver's side, so that way the transmission oil doesn't seep back. So that's another reason why it's a pain in the ass. But yeah, so I took it out. This is what it looks like. There's some casing on the back side of it, so the shaft, it's not all supported by this, it's actually supported on the case itself. This just keeps the oil from leaking past the shaft portion of it. So yeah, let's put the new one in real quick. And to put the new one in, all you want to do is just slide it over like this, put it in the right direction, and then take something about the same size as it, such as the socket, put it over and tap it flush. So for instance, if you put this over here, I'm gonna clean it though. Slide it over and then take this socket, put it over and tap it till it sits flush, and that'll seat your stuff. And then put the linkage in the exact same way you took it off. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this and other content I'll be posting, definitely hit that subscribe button, especially for showing you this, because this was a pain in the ass. Definitely hit that thumbs up button. Thanks for watching. Until next time, see you in the next one.